video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, and we are officially getting ready for week one. If you guys are getting excited about week one, if you're ready for this matchup, this revenge game against the Kansas City Chiefs, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new here, and thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. We are going to be taking a look at the big offseason addition, Derrick Henry, and what he could do to be the difference maker in this matchup against the Chiefs. Some of this went, well, I'm going to start over here. This kind of went out on social media this week about Derrick Henry's history against the Chiefs. 78 carries for 447 yards and 6 touchdowns in 4 career games. You can see each career game stat line in the individual lines there, but essentially averaging 112 yards a carry and 1.5 touchdowns, 6 TDs in 4 games. A lot of those being goal line touchdowns, but that's obviously really important for the Ravens as they're going to look to replace Gus Edwards and a lot of the things he did on the goal line last year for the Ravens. And I had to look to my guy here, DP Rees 8 over on Twitter, Daniel Rees, one of my favorite follows, gets you into the analytical side. Go check out his Twitter account. Absolutely love following him, talking ball with him. And, he's raising a good point. Him and I talked about this a lot last year. Looking at the Ravens and how they used the run game out of 11 personnel. They ran out of 11 personnel at the lowest rate in the NFL last year, but did so at one of the most efficient. So when they did do it, even though it wasn't often, they did it well. And the Chiefs allowed the third highest EPA per rush when facing 11 personnel. Now, obviously, this is a big deal given how the game went in January in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs didn't stack the box and the Ravens didn't run the ball. Now you got Derrick Henry. So what I want to focus on is, answering the question is, is that what the Titans did with Derrick Henry to have that success, or was it coming through a different method? And in doing that analysis, I got into what I think was the difference maker in the film for why this worked. And it really came down to where we're going to be focusing a lot of our attention in this video, and that's on these guys, the linebackers. So that's obviously Leo Chanel, Nick Bolton. You're going to see Willie Gay in here. He's down there as the Sam linebacker. When we go back into the 2021 game, you're going to see a little Anthony Hitchens. I believe that's pretty much it. Maybe Ben Neiman makes an appearance. But essentially, it's really on these linebackers. It wasn't so much the defensive line that impacted Henry. So let's get into it, take a look what I'm talking about. And right here, you're going to see a good example of what I mean. Now, some of this is going to feed into my point. Some of this is just poor blocking. Obviously, starting from the alignment here, we're going to double up on the one tech here, and we're going to get stuck with the four tech the four tech over top of the tackle. This is going to give the linebacker, Nick Bolton in this case, free range to get into the backfield. And this was the difference in this game in these running concepts. When the Chiefs linebackers attacked, like you're seeing right here, they were getting to Derrick Henry. So we're going to be focusing on that attacking nature. So you're going to see him jump in there, fill the gap. That's where they're going to have the biggest impact. Now, this may seem obvious. Obviously, linebackers attack, but it was the one thing that stood out in the negative runs, or the not so much negative runs, but the bad runs by Derrick Henry in this game. So you're going to see, here's a good example. You see 32, he's going to come down hard, fill that gap, and then it's forcing that cutback. So a lot of this is going to be in a zone scheme, and when you're forcing Henry to cut outside, it's going to get, the DB reinforcements coming in. So we're going to see it again here. There you got 32, who's going to come down, and he ends up getting blocked by 64, who comes off his block, but that does enough to force that cutback. And then once he cuts it to the outside, you're going to get, the cavalry coming in. So this was pretty common in this. So when you saw those linebackers penetrate, it was forcing, bad blocking attempts by the Titans O-line, but it was also forcing Henry to cut. I think we got one more that I want to take a look at before we get into what I noticed was the difference in these concepts. So there you're going to get 32 coming downhill again. So when they're penetrating, when they're, eating those backside gaps. So this is, a perfect example. So this looks like a duos concept to me, where you're going to get duos right I mean, 78 comes off his block, but you're supposed to have double teams here and here. And then he's reading off the linebacker, and 32 just comes downhill. And again, there's that cutback to force him back inside, back into where he's trying to read 50 to make his cut, and he's got to, read off the penetration man. So that's really what I'm noticing the big difference is. When those linebackers are penetrating, it's forcing those cutbacks. And anybody that's watched a lot of Derrick Henry, when he gets up to a full head of steam, he's super hard to tackle. But when you're forcing him to make his cuts at the line of scrimmage, that's when you can get him into more positive situations for the defense. Here we got one, another good example. We're going to take a look at this and some of the good runs. This 4-3 stack that the Chiefs would have, he had a lot of positive runs against it, and we'll take a look at why. But, here's a toss attempt. And you're going to get, again, just, some of this is bad blocking. Some of this is, just kind of my point, though, is you're going to get that penetration downhill into the gap. And it's going to force, again, not so much, making that tackle, but it's going to force the cuts, force him to have to dance. He's not able to get up to that high speed that he wants to be at. So that's not where Derrick Henry's at his best, trying to make guys miss in the backfield. It's, getting out in coverage. So how can the Ravens freeze those linebackers so they don't come downhill?
All right, guys, before we move on, I want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video. This video is powered by BetUS, the go-to this year for NFL betting. As you can see, I'm here on the NFL Week 1 page. Let's just take a second to look how easy it is to place a bet on your Ravens money line and the over. We're just going to punch those in. They're going to load up. As you can see, we can hit them straight, or we're going to parlay those bad boys. We're going to go over here. We're going to risk 100 on it to bring in 337, place my bets. It's that easy. You just simply cannot beat how easy this system is. Plus, BetUS offers the fastest payouts in the industry. And right now when you sign up by clicking the link down below, you can get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. BetUS is fast and easy, 24/7, 365, personalized service, so that when you hit that big win, you're never alone. Plus, they offer live wagering on all major sports and the best betting variety in the business. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video.
And so now we're going to take a look at some of the positive runs and really what I want to get at in this. So I was talking about that 4-3 stack, so you're going to see it here. So this is that kind of traditional 4-3 defense. You got the 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and you're going to see them flowing more than penetrating. And that's really what I think the difference is. So you're going to see there's going to be that true zone scheme, this wide zone scheme that, Henry did so well within the Chiefs. Watch 64's block here. I love stuff like this. You're going to see him basically swim the defensive lineman. He's going to bring that right arm up and over just to get into that second level. And so what you're seeing here is the linebackers flowing. So, they're going to their run fits, but they're not stepping into that gap. They're flowing over, and that's going to allow blocks to set up. So there you see 55 getting into the linebacker, and then you got the fullback here, which would be your Patrick Ricard, getting in, and there's that gap right there from the 2 of them. So when they're not coming downhill, those zone blocks are able to stack up, and then there goes Derrick Henry for 24 yards doing what he does best. Now we get back in that 4-3 stack. Same kind of thing, zone scheme. You had no downhill penetration. You're going to flow to the side. All 3 of them are going to flow that way. Right there. And then there's your block setting up. You got 64 making a block. You got a cut block there. Leo Chanel. Nice little block by the left tackle here, 71, as he's going to just have a little cut back on 90. And then this goes for 54, something crazy. So, very noticeable different in how the linebackers are playing these last 2 plays, flowing to the ball, allowing those zone scheme blocks to set up and not using that penetration to blow up the run early and force a cutback. And this is what I mean. Derrick Henry is able to hit his top gear and get out to the races. And that's when he becomes very hard to tackle. He's able to take it on for extra yards. Now you get away from that 4-3 stack. We're kind of back in that 3-4. This is kind of like a 3-4 under because you got 4 down linemen here, but you're going to bring Willie Gay, your Sam linebacker, down here into a stand-up. So I call this more of a You can call it 4-3 under. It kind of looks like a traditional 3-4. It doesn't really matter. But you're kind of focusing on the two linebackers here. So you got Leo Chanel on the left, and you got Nick Bolton on the right. And again, so Bolton's going to come to the right here, but he's not coming downhill. And instead, who's coming downhill is actually going to be Justin Reed, their free safety. So as he comes down, that receiver comes in and is able to crack him. So then again, this is what I mean, right? Your zone blocks are able to set up. You're getting Henry moving out into a little bit of space. You're not forcing that cutback early. This is going to be like seeing this. They're running away from the tight end here. So, again, they're down in that 3-4 under look, or 4-3 under look, sorry. You got Bolton down here, or Willie Gay down there, sorry. And again, letting those blocks set up and then letting Henry get into the second level. So you're not really getting the penetration, you're getting a flow. And you can really see the difference here if you focus on, I believe this is Ben Neiman here. So in some of those clips we were looking at early, he'd be coming down and eating one of these gaps, but he's going to continue to flow. And so as he moves more outside, he's basically overcommitted. You got 3 guys to 2 gaps here, and then you leave this open. And so by not penetrating there, Henry's able to hit his cut there, right? So rather than forcing him to cut, he's reading off his blocks, and getting into favorable positions. Now we're going to kind of get back to that simulated 4-3 look, but they have the safety down, so it looks like a bit of a 4-4. But same kind of idea. We're going to flow here. We're going to get a little bit more of a down attack from the play side linebacker, but as he comes down, the fullback's there to take care of him. So that's kind of okay because you got that fullback in the backfield. And then Henry's just going to do what he does best and fight through contact there. But again, you're just noticing a very distinct difference in how the linebackers are playing those successful runs and those not successful runs. So, I mean, kind of the key question here is, and I know what you guys are thinking, how do we make that happen, right? That's kind of the key. And that's where I think one of the keys to this game and one of the things that I think is going to make Derrick Henry successful. So it's going to be, I think they have to use play action early without the run being set up and throw the ball to kind of set up the run. Because if they're able to attack the middle of the field out of play action, which the Ravens do so well, they're going to force those linebackers to have to freeze because they can't come downhill if you're killing them with play action. So that's really the key to me. It's not just passing to set up the run game. It's specifically using the play action game to do so because it's going to mess with those linebackers. In doing so, you're going to force them to freeze. You're going to be able to, now you got the D-line reading Lamar and Derrick Henry in those those option concepts, and you're going to have the linebackers having to read, the play action pass before they get downhill. So I know what some of you are thinking. Didn't we pass against the Chiefs in the playoffs and it didn't work out well? I'm saying you need to pass specifically out of play action to set up this run game, freeze those linebackers, make those linebackers sit back because as you can kind of ramp up Derrick Henry, get him out in space, I think that's when he's at his best. But if they're able to kind of fly downhill because we're just trying to feed Derrick Henry, I think you're going to see a lot of those cutbacks, a lot of that dancing in the backfield, which is unfortunately what we saw in the preseason from this offensive line where linebackers were just flying downhill. So I really think it's on the pass game to be able to take that pressure off the run game. So, it's one of those funny things where I think Derrick Henry can be the difference maker, but the Ravens offense has to do a little bit of something to set that up. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of this breakdown. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Thank you to BetUS for powering this video. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.